I'm doing well, guys. How are you, man? Good to see all of you.
You too.
It really is. It really is. Seriously.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the 757 Roundtable Talk. We have an amazing group of panelists this evening. We're joined by Coach Hank Sawyer, who's representing Lake Taylor. We've got Coach Joe Jones with Ocean Lakes, and Coach Corey Hairston with Warwick. We've been really blessed for the last 23 years with the Hampton Youth Foundation to have these coaches supporting us and some of their student athletes and parents and others in the community. But there was a couple of recent announcements, one being the cancellation of fall football in 2020. And for each of you, we just want to have a dialogue, to get a chance to have you all together and have some open conversation. But maybe before we start with that, how have you guys been adjusting with your student athletes? Like normally, there would have been some 7-on-7 camps, there would have been some clinics. Coach Sawyer, maybe you could kick us off, spend a couple of minutes and let us know what you've been doing up to now.
Well, I haven't been allowed to meet with the kids. That's a school thing, and I don't make the call. But I've, been in contact with them through video, FaceTime, phone, and they, the majority of the kids are working out. They're very frustrated, Of course, with the news last week, not going to play in the fall, made it even more frustrating. And so right now I have to focus on the seniors and making sure that they have a home after June. Whenever we play football, I have to make sure that they have a home. The recruiting that normally takes place and things that take place, they're not going to happen this year, unfortunately, And even some of the things that's going on, I can't be involved in. And then the situation at Kempsville the other day didn't help situations at all, So that kind of put us back even further. But I don't make the call, and I know it's a pandemic, and I know it's something real, real serious. And so I've just been kind of dealing with it.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Jones, you want to go next?
Yeah, a lot. I think of a coach, you got to write the guys making the decision. That's above our pay grade, the people making these decisions. And but like Coach Sawyer, I've been in touch with the guys through Zoom, weekly Zoom meetings with the team. Our position coaches have had meetings with their position guys through Zoom. But like we said, there's only so much. I'm coaching quarterbacks again this year, and there's only so much we can do, going through plays and scenarios and things like that. They need on the field reps, but I think more than anything, and I was fortunate, we were able to start last Monday with workouts. And in Virginia Beach, we're allowed 60-minute workouts, 10 players per one coach in a group. I don't think I've ever prepared for a workout in all my years of coaching as I have prepared for this because of all the guidelines. They have to have masks coming in. It's very well orchestrated, with cones when they come in. They're social distance apart. They got to go through the checklist, answer the questions from the trainer and the ADs there also, and then we get them in their groups. I have little X's painted all over our game field. We got our game field lined every 10 yards, so we're 30-foot by 15-foot social distancing. We're required to have 10-foot social distancing at the beach. So, we've had pretty good turnout. We've had about 60 kids there each day. We're cutting it down to 3 days a week. And as I was just telling the coaches, tomorrow's going to be canceled because of the heat index is going to be too high. We're in the position I think a lot of us are in now where of all our coaches, there's only 3 of us that are teachers. The rest work outside the school system. So they have jobs. And I can't get them there in the morning when it's a little cooler. We can only get them there in the early afternoon. So we go from about 1 to 4 with our 2 sessions. but it's so great. It was so great to get back with them and see their faces again. And, you know, they seem so excited about getting back. They just, we need that. We need it as coaches. We need to see them because it's our livelihood. They need to see us and know that, you know, we're trying to stay positive. First and foremost, we want to stay safe and healthy. You know, I saw the thing of the young man at Kempsville, and you know, I was worried right away that they might shut down everybody at the beach with that, but so far they haven't. I think they may have shut down Kempsville for now, but you know, even with the news we got Wednesday of it being canceled, you try to prepare, and I think we as coaches kind of could see this coming, but you know, it's still, when it happens, why it gets a little frustrating, a little disappointing, but you know, I can't complain right now because I've got to see my guys, most of my guys this past week, and the enthusiasm and the attitude, like Coach was saying, these older guys, most of them are doing the things they need to do to stay in shape on their own. They're finding ways to get somewhere and work out in the weight room. They're finding ways to go run. I'm sure they're finding ways to go throw and catch and do all those other things we can't do at the workout because we're allowed no equipment at all. I don't even have cones. I have X's sprayed on the field. So, you know, we're going to plan on try to keep it up Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays throughout the fall. If nothing else, just to try to get them together. And I think we all agree on that. That's probably the most important part, is just getting back to a little normalcy. You know, we said the other day, now July is the new January. We got to wait 7 months before we can play. So
You're right.
It's like starting all over in January again. So, you know, we're just going to keep that up, see what happens with school, and see what happens at this meeting a week from Monday at VHSL. You know, the signs are all pointing towards a condensed 10-week schedule, and you know, trying to keep the guys motivated and positive. That's the biggest thing, and safe.
Thanks, Coach. What about you, Coach Hairston, over at Warwick? And
yeah, we you know, just piggybacking off what the other coaches have said. We've had weekly Zoom meetings with the guys, and you know, like Coach Jones said, it's just amazing just seeing their faces on the computers. That's a beautiful thing. You know, as coaches, I think sometimes we take for granted, you know, not seeing these kids. You know, when we see them all the time, but not seeing them, that's a tough thing. But you know, because they go through so many different things in their lives, and not just this pandemic, but just regular life things, deaths in families. Yeah. Family members getting, you know, different things happen to their family. So, you know, it's always good to be able to be in touch with our guys. But right now, we've just been doing weekly Zoom meetings. And, you know, the guys have been working out. They've been doing things on their own. They've been finding a way. Still proud of them for doing that. But we're just in a really tough situation. Just really tough situation, because God forbid, I know I wouldn't be able to sleep if I find out some kid, you know, had the virus under my watch. You know, that's just that'd be hard to deal with.
Yeah.
So that's what we're dealing with at Warwick High School. Just doing the video conferences and, you know, trying to get, you know, the senior class, this 2021 class, you know, they're resilient, but they've been placed in a very difficult situation. So prayerfully, things turn out the way that they do, and we will be able to play some type of schedule in the spring, so they can at least play their senior year. Because I know I have some kids who really need to play the senior year to determine what's going to happen to them after high school. So, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, we just being very prayerful right now.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach. Then this is for all coaches. You know, people forget that you deal with young people, right? These are kids, right? These are not college football players, 21 through 22, who are kids as well, but they're more so young men. And then you go to the professional level in kind of our space, and you're dealing with grown men now with families and kids. And obviously the young people you work with are from anywhere from 14 to 18 years old, who are very vulnerable mentally. And I think people may forget how mentally challenging this is going to be. Can you give me some insight, Coach Sawyer, and then we'll go down the line and just talk about any thoughts on how do we maintain that positive energy moving forward through this process? Because I think this initial shock is something that, okay, I'm working through it, but then you got to deal with August, and you got to deal with September, and any thought on how to maintain their level of confidence to know that you will get a season, we will work it out, but don't give up. We're going to keep striving. Any thought on that, Coach?
Well, the first thing I have to say, and I just really believe this, this is me. Sometimes young men want to grow up too soon. Mm-hmm. They want to control their future early, And I said the other day, and I keep saying it, if God wanted you to be here earlier, he would have made a way for you to be born earlier, And so what happens is the pandemic, it's nothing that no one's gonna have a certain strategy to be. Mm-hmm. And that's what everybody has to understand. Some people saying, well, I'm gonna go enroll in college and all. Well, the colleges don't even know if they're gonna play or gonna have you on their campus as well. But a lot of young people, they think, well, I'll get there and I can beat that. The other thing is, when these young men, they go on recruiting visits, they lavish you with, it's great, it's all about, hey, Hank Sawyer, we want you. We got to have you. And as soon as they get you in school, they'll tell you, hey, man, get in line. But kids, that's all they remember either is that unofficial visit or that official visit. Man, the food was great. Not saying that the college food won't be good, but all that attention that you got and your family's got, you're not going to receive that kind of attention. It's just no way. It's no way possible, And so a lot of colleges are struggling too. So I tell the young men, hey, wait your turn. Don't try to grow up too soon. Wait your turn. It's gonna be okay. But a lot of times they don't want to hear you. They just thinking, all coach cares about is, high school. Well, I care about college, but in this world out here, they're gonna find out. And I'm the guy that they're going to call back and say, Coach, you were right. Wow. And that's one of the reasons the NCAA has the transfer portal now, because so many young people are unhappy because they thought something was going to be a certain way, and it's not. And it all comes back to they want to grow up too soon, So that's my thoughts on it.
Yes, sir. Coach Jones.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They're so, man, just enjoy your high school years. Because as we know, the high school football years, that's going to be your funnest years of playing football. If funnest is a word. Tell my guys all the time, if I had an option to go back anywhere I've played before and I was blessed to, have a chance to play at all three levels, I would go back to Forest Hills High School in Sidman, Pennsylvania, and play another high school football game.
I agree.
You know, because it was fun. It wasn't all this, pressure, and it wasn't a business. And yeah, echoing your thoughts, Coach Sawyer, trying to get these guys to understand that the whining and dining ends once you sign and get on campus. And, you know, when you get on campus, I told our defensive end that committed to LSU, I said, the first day you line up and that 22-year-old grown man, 340-pound offensive tackle that benches, you know, a car is going to line up across from you, and you're going to realize, hey, I'm not in Kansas anymore.
That's true. Amen.
You know,
Exactly.
they try to grow up too fast, and now they feel pressured, you know, one way or another. I'm hoping the colleges aren't putting a lot of pressure on them to go early or not. I don't begrudge anybody. You know, we got one of our receivers, Miles Alston, and he's like family to me. And you know, he's leaving. He had already decided he was going to be leaving anyhow in January to go to Pitt, and so he's going to be going up there. And I feel bad for the seniors that don't get to play their senior year because they missed their senior year in high school, because as I told them, I said, it's all business once you get there. And, you know, I've been hearing now too, that some of the colleges are putting the brakes on commits because they're not sure what's going to happen. And, you know, several of them are already saying they're going to play in the spring. You know, I'm sure there'll be others to follow. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, I always tell them, man, don't worry, don't put too much, don't rush yourself into growing up too soon. You need to mature, and that'll all come. But enjoy your high school years, and you know, we're going to have a season. They get panicky a little bit, and you know, we try to guide them in what we think is the right decision, but sometimes they're hearing from more than their head coaches and their high school coaches. They're hearing from others, and you know, you just got to try to do what you can and guide them in the right direction, or what you think's the right direction. But you know, I'm like you there, Coach Sawyer. Just growing up too fast. Let it come. It's going to get there. We're going to get through all this. Things will get back to some kind of normal sometime soon. But we're all in this thing together, and you know, we just gotta fight our way through it. We talk about mental toughness. I know all of us talk about mental toughness with our kids. And, you know, I always use the phrase, you know, wait till you're 25 years old and you're married and you have $400 worth of bills due, this $200 in the bank. Figure something out quick legally what to do and how to figure that out. And I said, that's the mental toughness of football carries on into life. And this is real life example these past 4 months and these upcoming months. You know, stay focused, guys. Stay focused. That's why we said July is a new January. It's like a whole off season starting again. But stay focused and don't give up on it. You just got to keep plugging away and doing the right things, and you know,
Right.
It'll come.
Yeah, Coach Hairston, that's what I want to talk to you about. Like Coach Jones mentioned, you know, it's like your athletes are out there and you can't really touch them like you have in the past. And now you have to deal with the whispers in the ears because everybody is panicking, whether it's family members, whether it's neighbors, whether it's coaches, whomever. What message do you send to parents of a lot of these players who are listening to neighbors and others? You should do this, you should do that, and they're trying to get in front of this decisions to try to make sure that their child has an opportunity to get a scholarship, because we all know that's the ultimate goal here for them. What I'm just being honest, what exactly do you tell them?
Yeah, and that's tough because I've definitely dealt with situations like that. It's just, you got to remember, you've trusted you trusted our program for the past 3 years, and we need you to trust us another year. It's amazing to me, and I'm just gonna be honest because I'm an honest type guy. You know, the biggest joke, you know, some of us coaches have is that the best coaches are sitting in the stands on Friday nights. But unfortunately, they don't see what happens Monday through Thursday at practice.
No.
So
They got a playbook and everything, huh, Coach?
They got a playbook, Coach.
Yeah.
and they got playbooks and everything. But you know, that daily grind, that we do Monday through Thursday, that's the important thing. And we just have to remind parents of that. We meet with parents, you know, prior to the situation, but we've met with parents and had parent meetings and just tell them what our program is all about. And you know, again, I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to be honest with you. If your son's not doing what he's supposed to do, he's going to sit. If your son is doing what he's supposed to do, he's going to play. I'm not looking for 6'5", 300, and you can't even get down the stands. You could be 5'2", 125. If your heart is bigger than your chest, you're gonna play. So just reminding and being honest and straightforward with parents is the best thing. Again, honestly, I tell kids, look at the source of who's telling you the information. If your uncle is, your uncle and he barely got a job and a couple teeth in his mouth, if that's who you want to listen to, you go listen to. So I'm just being honest. I'm just an honest guy. Check your source.
Well, Corey, it all goes back to the FCA that you do at Warwick, and Coach Jones, you do at Ocean Lakes. Every week, we have FCA, and those players are in there. They don't have to, and it's not mandatory. However, if that's where the majority of the group is, that's where the players are. And, and I tell players and I tell coaches all the time, in Psalms it says, if you delight yourself in the Lord, he will give you the desires of your heart. Now I might be wrong, but I believe the pandemic has a lot to do with God wanting us to humble ourselves. I mean, I do. And so there I am. And when I tell kids, I've took my thumps, but I have delighted myself in the Lord, and his word is true. I've won 3 state championships and been to 5. My wife's won 4 and been to 6. And so the Lord has really blessed us, and we stand on his word and stand on his promise. And the same thing I'm teaching those kids, to stand on his promise, to stand on his word. At some point, America needs to slow down and we need to turn back to God. I mean, that's just how I feel. I don't really care what anybody else think. That's where I've been all of my coaching career. That's where I've been all my life. Those kids always, say I'm very emotional in FCA, but they're getting something out of it because we had a volunteer thing. After we won the state championship, we were fortunate enough to have the whole team at church, and they all showed up and they all wanted to go. And it was beautiful, and so at some point we got to lean on those, on those promises and lean on him.
Absolutely. He's the only constant we have in our lives.
That's right. Have you guys seen more camaraderie amongst coaches trying to help each other work through the process more than ever? Because one of the things that this pandemic has done is put everybody on an equal playing field.
Yeah.
Right.
Like nobody's in front of each other. So you can't say he's cheating over here or he's doing more practices. Yeah. Like everybody is here. So no excuses.
Right.
No explanations, as Coach Tomlin would say. Have you seen more of a closeness with your profession, your group of coaches in the area, or ever just sharing ideas, sharing support for each other trying to get through it as well?
I can speak on that one. One of my good friends, he's a head coach at one of the schools in Hampton. He and I talked on the phone the other day for like almost 2 hours. And it was good for he and I to talk because we bounced a lot of good ideas off of each other. I've been in contact with Coach Rhodes at War Hill. And it's good to talk to coaches because again, like you said, we are all going through the same thing. This is not isolated to only Newport News or isolated Norfolk or Virginia Beach. We're all in this together. So it's good to talk to people who are going through the same thing as you. So again, like Coach Inko at Bethel, that's my boy. We talked for almost 2 hours, and it was a beautiful conversation and just bouncing ideas off of each other.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, I've been the same way. I just was on a Zoom meeting at 4:00 with a bunch of coaches around the state, talking about what they're doing, what we're doing, who's able to work out, who's not able to work out, what their, plans are. So I've stayed in touch more with other coaches in the area, but especially even so with our coaches, because we just hired about 5 or 6 new coaches. We had some turnover with some coaches that got out of it, which probably aren't regretting that right now. So it's a chance for us. We planned a retreat to go off for the weekend in April and kind of hang out together and get to know each other. And we've been doing it through Zoom meetings. And then, of course, now that we're starting workouts, why it's been nice getting to know each other and on our own coaching staff. But it's been good with some other coaches too, like you're saying, Corey. It's always good to bounce ideas off each other. Well, football coaches, we're the biggest thieves in the world. We love stealing ideas. We don't care who it's from.
The good thing about it, Coach, nothing is original like most people think. Somebody got that idea from somebody else.
Got it, somebody from somewhere. And
that's right. Nobody is a genius.
They think, oh, this is something new. No, this is old school. We're just bringing it back again.
So you all talked about as peers on a high school level. What is the communication like with some on a collegiate? I mean, is it emails? I mean, they're dealing with many of the same issues with their programs. I mean, almost every day now we're starting to hear, a conference canceling or delaying to the spring. What's that communication been like, with on a collegiate level?
Well, those college coaches been calling, and I got excited when I recognized the name or the number, thinking they were calling about kids, and they were calling more about their mental state, trying. So I find myself trying to, let them know it's gonna be all right. A lot of them know me over the years, and I was like, man, I thought you was calling me to offer kids. Coach, man, I'm really going through this,
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you. How's life going for you?
Our outreach is expanding now from our own team now to some of the college coaches. And,
the one thing that I tell everybody here lately, players as well, especially coaches, because of the mental part of it, you have to get yourself in condition as well. So, every morning, heck, I get up and I walk 4 miles. And then in the evenings, like right before this meeting, I rode my bike. Because mentally, if you're not in good physical condition, to me, it's gonna hurt you, or even more, because you remember, you got to remember that you are the leader. You are the leader of your team, and you're the leader of your household, and your wife and your family, they all depend on you, and extended family to say positive things, and they're gonna call on you,
Yeah. Well, Coach, I feel good now that you're saying what you do in the morning and the evening, because I always try to find, like we said, people who've been successful, coaches who've been successful, and emulate some of the things they do. I walk an hour every morning. When I finish that walk, then I take my dog for 20 minutes because he can't walk for an hour anymore. And then when we finish this tonight, my wife and I will go out and ride around the neighborhood for about 30 minutes on the bike. And
very good.
Yeah, we got to stay in condition physically and mentally.
Right.
And because they're counting on us. And as I always tell the guys, once they say, "Oh, we're not going to do this, we're not going," man, nothing good comes out of being negative. Nothing good comes out of thinking negative.
That's right. I agree.
You got to think positive, because if you think positive and you prepare and it don't happen, you still have something positive because you're prepared.
Right.
If you don't prepare and it happens, then you're in a bind. And so, prepare for it to happen. Things in life are going to be that way. You may do all the right things. Both teams that go to the Super Bowl every year, they have done the right things to get there.
Yeah.
One of them's going to end their season with a loss. And, that can't be the ultimate negative for them. They still did a lot of positive, to get there. And I guess the older I get and the grayer my hair turns, I don't know. I feel like it's just, I just try to stay positive about everything that's going on in our world and our country with everything. Just try to stay positive and be positive and try to spread that. When I walk down the street, I wave at everybody and I laugh, because some of them wave and you can see they're waving and they're kind of looking like, who is that waving at me? Well, it don't matter who it is waving at you. Somebody's waving at you. So if I wave at somebody and they smile and wave and say hello, hey, something positive, is going on both ends. And
very good.
I'm with you there. My wife will be glad to hear that we're not the only ones that walk in the morning and then ride the bike in the evening. We go at night now because it's so daggone hot.
Yeah.
We'll go about 8:30, 9 o'clock and ride around the neighborhood, which is well lit. But I love what you're saying, coaches. We got, because if we don't stay positive, what's going to happen to our players?
Right.
Because who knows what mom and dad's telling them? Y'all ain't going to have no season. Y'all ain't going to have no season. You're not going to hear that from your coaches.
Right.
Positive and they're relying on, man, when the chips are down, when the adversity hits, that's when I want them to count on me more than any. Because when things are going good, like you were talking about, Coach, all those great coaches in the stands that don't have to call the play and get the ball snapped in 25 seconds. All those geniuses up there, man, it's easy. They're all, when I was at Kings Fork, the people that were yapping behind me those years, we had some tough years, were the same ones patting me on the back when we had the good years.
Yeah.
And Coach Bieber used to say, never get too high, never get too low. Just try to keep even keel.
Yeah.
And, I don't hold grudges, but I don't forget either. And, so you're the same guy that was yapping about me 2 years ago. Now all of a sudden I'm a great coach, or I'm a better coach, or I'm a better coach if your son plays. They don't like to hear it. You were talking, Coach Hairston, about, sometimes and I know the three of us are alike in this. Sometimes when they say, well, why isn't my son playing? Well, the guy in front of him is just a little bit better. And
right.
And I'm the coach, and we make those decisions. And sometimes that happens. And you go through life, when jobs come up. I haven't interviewed for a head coaching job yet that I was the only person to interview. I know it's going to be competition of who they want. So get these kids used to it now. I'm with you on the transfer portal, man. It's too easy. It's too easy now. Sometimes you just got to suck it up and go. There's our legitimate cases where you may need to go, but it just, sometimes I think it gets too easy for them to make a change.
How many seniors does everybody have? Would be in the fall this upcoming year, how many seniors do each of you
I
have?
got 37 on my list. It's the most I've ever had. 37 seniors were working out up till March when school ended.
Wow.
What about Lake Taylor and Warwick?
I had 15.
Go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
No, I just say I had 15.
I got 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But I had 15 in the right spot, so that's what I was excited about, you know.
Yeah. Last year I had 11. Now
Yeah.
this year, all things being equal, I should have probably mid-30s still. And now that we didn't have to go through the whole off-season workout, now more kids are calling me saying they want to play football. And I laugh and say, I know why you want to play football now, but, you know, so I'm blessed this year with that many kids, that many seniors.
Wow.
Coach Hairston, I had a question for you. You know, one of the things that I respect, I've always respected about high school coaches, even back to our Vernon playing years, was that you guys serve a lot of different roles in this space. Because like you said, most folks in the stands on Friday look at you as just a coach with a whistle and you call them to play right or wrong. But you are mental counselors, you are emotional counselors, you're academic counselors, you're physical trainers, your injury trainers. Like, talk to me about that process of just understanding. Now you're in the middle of this process, trying to be supportive, because all of your kids have different backgrounds. Nobody comes from the same background and have different challenges. How do you manage to work with them all to keep them all in this bubble mentally, to make sure that everybody is comfortable and in the right space?
You know, one thing I'm going to say, I know for me, I'm fulfilling my purpose. God puts us all on earth where we have to fulfill a purpose, and I'm fulfilling my purpose. And it's amazing, you know, when you're younger, you talk about all the different things you want to do when you get older. And I remember being younger and saying I wanted to be a teacher and I wanted to coach. And I'm fulfilling my purpose. So when you're fulfilling your purpose and doing the things that God has led you to do, you're going to be able to handle all these different capacities. Being a physical trainer, being a coach, being a mentor. It's part of the territory. You know, my wife and I, we've been married for 5 years, and when we met, I told her up front, I said, baby, I'm a football coach, and it's more than just me. and it sounds funny, but it's more than just me showing up in the fall and blowing the whistle. It's a 12-month job. It's not just anything that occurs only during the fall. When you get phone calls at 2:30 in the morning saying that, my house got shot up, or you get a call at 3 in the morning, Coach, I was out late and my car broke down, I need some help. Or you may even get a call from a coach, Coach, man, I really need to talk right now. So the capacity, when you're fulfilling your purpose and doing the things that God has put you on this earth for, you can handle any situation. And I know I'm fulfilling my purpose. I spoke this a long time ago, and this is what I wanted to do. And God said, okay, God will, if you say that's what you want to do, He's going to put you there. Now, He's not going to say it's going to be easy,
right?
But he's going to put you in the position that you want to be in. But he's never going to leave you nor forsake you at the same time. So just fulfilling my purpose and just letting God lead me. Because sometimes, I may be walking down the road and, God said, go and walk down that road, but he didn't give us a spirit of fear either. You got to keep walking down that road, even though you may not want to. So just fulfilling my purpose. That's my answer.
Yeah.
That's very motivating. Because Carl and I always talk about, you guys are really on the front line. Each year when we put on our camp, we'll always reach out to you to kind of get a perspective on what kids are dealing with. Coach Tomlin is always asking, what messages. A lot of NFL players that come back, what messages should they be engaging with the kids and the student athletes, not just on the field, but off the field and conversation. One of the things we launched last week was a leadership symposium. We had some different workshops, but one of the themes we talked about was social media do's and don'ts. We had a former collegiate coach to come in and talk about some things. Could you guys just give us, a little perspective on, again, Carl and I played, I was at Hampton, Carl was at Bethel. We played way back in the late 80s. There was no internet, but we've watched how recruiting has changed. And again, this is just a personal thing. All these guys tweeting, I've got my 50th offer. I mean, one offer is what you need at the end of the day, but I get it's a new era. But could you each give us a perspective on social media and what guidance you're sharing with your student athletes?
Well, my social media is Zoom. Zoom, text messaging, and a little FaceTime. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Twitter. And it's probably good I don't have it. It kind of keeps me grounded. Unfortunately, my players, they are involved in those things. Of course, some of the things that may hurt them, people get it back to me. Some of the other coaches have it, assistant coaches have it, and I don't know if it's, at times it's like anything, it's good for them, and at times, it's bad. Now with that pandemic, being away from the playoffs for 4 or 5 months, it's probably not good because they don't have to answer to me face to face. They don't have to, normally, no matter what they have to come to school. And I have cafeteria duty, so they have to see me every day. But now they don't have to see me, so they can put up all kind of things and post all kind of things. Even a lot of the college coaches, they want those kids' Twitter handle and all, and they'll ask me, Coach, what's your handle? I don't have a handle. You want to talk to me? Call me or text me. That's me. And thank God I've been successful with all the social media and stuff going on. I've still had a lot of successful days, practices, games. This year, if we get to play, this will be my 40th year coaching football. So, I'm blessed,
Coach Jones, Coach Hairston, what do you talk to your athletes about social media?
I'm pretty much Zooming with the guys each week and group texting. I have them broke down in their workout groups, and I group text them. I try to stay in touch with them by group text every day or every other day at the latest, so they hear something from me. And obviously, like I'm sure you two guys do, last thing they hear is love you and miss you. And because how many of our guys hear somebody tell them they love them and miss them every day? And, because they're like family. I always joke when we're in person, I see them more than I see my wife. And my wife's a lot better looking than any player I've ever had. And I do have Facebook, but I get frustrated at Facebook sometimes. It can be such a good, positive thing. But, a lot of times you read everybody's airing everything on Facebook times. And I try to keep it positive there. I think I have a Twitter account, but I never hear about Twitter unless one of my coaches says, hey, did you hear what so-and-so put on, or see what so-and-so put on Twitter today? And I think that started back about 10 years ago when I was having a quarterback competition at Kingsburg, and a coach sent me something that a kid put on social media, which was just new back then. And I called him in and I said, I was going to call you in today to tell you were the opening game starter. I said, and then I read this and I showed it to him. I said, did you write this? Yes, sir. I said, well, this is why you're not going to be the starter this week. And You know, I have my little index cards. My kids make fun of me. My coaches make fun of me because I have my index card that says, make good decisions, do the right things every time he gets a chance. Social media, make good decisions on social media. We had a assistant Commonwealth attorney come into Ocean Lakes to my classes every year. They come in and they talk about trouble you can get in legally on social media with pictures and stuff like that, and especially sexually implicit pictures, if that's the right term. And I swear to you guys, the night that the day that the man spoke to my class, the next day I come in and I had a student absent, and I said, "Where is he?" And they said he got arrested last night because he and his girlfriend broke up, and he shared a nude picture of her on. And they just talked about it. And I'm like, man. But again, it's about, like you're saying, Coach, when they're not around us and we can't see them face to face, man, it's so much easier to text. It's so much easier to put something on Twitter. Get on the phone and you know, call me if you need to call me. Don't just put something on text. And I hear it too sometimes from a lot of our young coaches. I'm talking to our young coaches all the time about, you know, be careful what you put on social media, because sometimes they get into some stuff and so I just shake my head and I turn it off. I'm like, you know, wow, stuff that I'll read, maybe not so much. I've harped on it so much on our coaches, I don't really see it much anymore, but sometimes some other young coaches in the area that I know and some of the things they put on, I just shake my head like, wow, here we are preaching to our players. Watch what you do on social media. And then I see what's going on there. And I just, you know, I shake my head. It can be such a positive thing, but they just got to be careful.
How about you, Coach Hairston, with social media, with your student athletes?
Yeah, we tell our kids to just keep it positive, because they, you know, we tell them to understand that if someone wants to find out all about you, they'll look you up on Twitter and all the different Instagram and all those different things just to see what type of things that you post. So we tell the kids to just keep it positive. Again, it's you know, again, we're in a situation where we, you know, like the coaches have said, we don't see our kids right now. So it's kind of tough, you know, because they don't want to see you face to face when they know they're doing wrong. And but we just preach to them just to keep it positive on social media. You know, I tell them a story that occurred when I was an assistant coach in 2012. We had a young man being recruited at Marshall as a wide receiver, good player, good student. But he made a very poor decision. He posted something on social media that was very inappropriate. And the communication between him and Marshall stopped. And it was because they saw a social media page. So, you know, I tell that story because, you know, it's very true. They're, you know, whoever is recruiting you or whoever wants to find out information about you, they'll go onto your social media to see what type of things that you post. That lets them know what type of person that you are. And you may not even be that person, but in their minds, that's the person that you are. So we just tell them just to be very careful and keep it positive about what you post.
And that's the thing I think that scares all of us coaches now, not being around our kids. What's that old saying? Idleness is the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
They're too idle. They don't have a lot to do. And most of the time they get thinking about a lot of different things. And a lot of times it's not good things.
Dumb stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that where we are today with our young people, there's so many different distractions that they have going on in life. You know, and one of the things I think people try to do is separate you from a teacher and separate you from someone in school. But you guys are teachers, you're administrators, right? Yeah. You just have a whistle around your neck, but you deal with the same things that teachers and others do at every level. And I think what is tough sometimes is working with young people who are going through a lot in their lives. Sometimes people don't drill down and really get into the core of what's making that young man do the things that they do. Coach, so how have you, I know you've had some situations over the course of your 40 years in coaching. How have you helped a young man who's been depressed, been a little confused in terms of getting him through his tough times? What sort of things have you done?
Well, I like to talk to them one-on-one. The one great thing about having cafeteria duty is I get to know who's at school, by the middle of the day. And if there's a problem, other players will tell me, and I try to keep it private first. Some of these kids, they go through it all, because I always tell them, as soon as you call your mother, whoever your legal guardian is, if you're in trouble, you call me. A lot of times, the one thing that I went through before this pandemic came along, the last school year, one of my players told me, say, just so many people in his family is dying. And so you got to come up with something that you got to say, to get him through that, to let him understand, that he's going to be okay, and that you can always be there for him. I may not agree with a lot of decisions that my players make, but I'm always going to be there for them. I'm somebody they can always call, and depend on. So a lot of times you gotta, like I tell my coaches, if it looks like we losing the game, you need to come up with some type of something positive to say to them before they go home. Don't just let them go home on Friday night and you don't see them anymore till Monday. So, and of course I've been blessed to engage in God's word, and I know so have the other two coaches. And so a lot of times when you read in scripture, you have it that it can just fall right on depending on the situation, because the one thing the pandemic have really made me focus on is why I'm really here in this world. And it's not to coach football, but to teach classes. It's to serve mankind. Well, I got a lot of college coaches calling me, not about kids. They're calling me about their own self, mental capacity, and my friends. And even my mother, I have to counsel her to let her know that the good work she's done in this world, they will follow her when she leave here, because she's so afraid of the pandemic. The one thing that in God's word, it teaches you that your works follow you when you leave this world. Your works, whatever you've done, follow you. So not just studying the Bible to live right, studying the Bible so that I could have wisdom, that I can show kids, hey, let's turn to this. Like we were fortunate enough that every kid in our FCA last year that wanted a Bible, everyone has a Bible, receive a Bible. And I tell the kids and the coaches, everybody needs to come up with their own prayer. And what I mean is, I said, don't look for me to pray for your grandparents or your situation. You can pray for it too. So you teach those kids in there how the prayer. You'd be surprised how many Americans don't know the Lord's Prayer. And so I was raised where you learn the Lord's Prayer. And you guys probably were too. And you learned the 23rd Psalm. My grandmother, you recited it. And so, I'm blessed. I'm on the deacon board at my church, and I sing in the choir. So, I'm blessed. I share a lot of songs with my coaches, and some even right now, just today, one of the guys says, "Man, I really needed that song. That song really touched me. I really needed to hear that." One of my coaches, he said, because right now I have both of my parents living with me. They're both sick, so I need to hear that. So not just the players, but whoever, it comes to me, I need to be able to share some type of scripture, some type of thought, some positive to help make his day.
No, Coach, I really appreciate that. I think, certainly we all do, because I think what we've been able to talk about is, yes, this football was, is sort of the common theme, but the real bigger aspect of this is humankind and the things that we could do in our works and things we could do in our community and for our families. And I think even this conversation, because who knows what's going to happen with another flare up with the pandemic. I mean, whether schools are going to open or not. But at the end of the day, I think, we all love the game, and the game has brought us together in different ways. But there's this other thing that's going to continue. And I like even hearing the camaraderie and the sharing amongst coaches, even as competitive as I know each of you very much are. But to work through this and think about sort of the bigger picture and with the themes now of athletes being more than an athlete. And I know all of you really emphasize being a student athlete and that balance. So, I think, we really appreciate some of the words and things you've been able to share and being open about. I'll throw it over to Carl for any final words before we end.
Oh, no, I just want to say thank you to each of you and for even being with us tonight. Look, we don't take for granted what you do. I know myself and Vernon don't. I mean, we've done this camp in Hampton Roads area for 24 years, going on our 25th year. Some years are better than others. Some years we got 250 kids. Some days we got 150. But it's never taken away from us trying to impact lives. And one of the things that we know, we could not have even come close to doing this without each and every one of you doing this. And that's why this was so important, because we were thinking about you and your mental capacity and all the work that you do. Myself, Vernon, and Coach Tomlin were just talking about, what type of words of wisdom do you share with the coaches who are dealing with this? And a lot of them we kind of grew up with too, but we sort of know them. But just knowing what you deal with on a daily basis is important to us. And we wanted to make sure that your voice continue to connect with people from the 757 area and beyond, and just to let them know how you guys are doing it and how you're keeping your students, your kids as positive as possible, and continue to just continue to manage the situation. So I want to thank you all. I really do, from the bottom of my Coach Sawyer, Coach Hairston, Coach Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for doing this. You and Carl inviting me, and I've known Coach Sawyer and I've known each other a long time. Coach Hairston, I know we have known each other that long, but just the camaraderie of all the coaches in the area and the chance to share with you two, tonight has been huge. And I think the more we can do that, the better off our world could be, our country's going to be, our sport could be. We have our 2 hours where we want to beat each other's brains in, but that's 2 hours, and then we shake hands and move on, and that's
right.
It was pretty cool. I feel blessed to be part of this group of 5 coaches here.
Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, thank you for inviting me. I truly appreciate it. Coach Sawyer, he knows that that's my fraternity brother over there, and I really love that man. Even though
Thank you, Coach.
I forgot about 2114. I still love you though, brother. And Coach Jones, I respect all the things you've done at Kings Fork and at Ocean Lake. So definitely appreciate you as well. And Carl and Vernon, those camps, anytime the kids have an opportunity each summer to go out and compete against other kids in the area year after year, that's a blessing to the kids in this area. So thank you too as well for all that you do.
Thank you.
Well, you guys, thanks for having me. And all 4 of you guys, continue to look to the hills. It's coming for our help. Our help cometh from the Lord.
Yes, absolutely.
Amen to that.
Amen, Coach.
Amen.
Well,
Thanks,
thanks.
Coach.